Hey everybody, I'm Andrew of the Movie Buff Pains, and welcome to another entry of Andrew's Animation. Today I wanted to talk about an animation studio. I already did a small series on Disney and a lot of their films. And everyone knows Disney. Everyone knows them and like DreamWorks, Illumination, and those are the big hitters. The studio I wanted to talk about today is Laika. Now, Laika definitely has known films. I think the best known one being Coraline. I'm not necessarily saying they're an unknown studio, it's actually just that I feel like their films aren't talked about much, which is a real shame because they have created some really wonderful films, and they don't get nearly enough attention with all the other big hitters out there in the world. So I kind of wanted to go over the few films that they have put out, as well as give my personal thoughts, my rating of them, and at the end of the video, I think I'll go ahead and actually even give my personal ranking of these films. Laika has been operating for about 15 years now, but only the last 10 have been doing feature-length animation. They've only put out 5 films since 2009, when they put out their first one. And admittedly, that's not a surprise. Stop motion animation, which is the style that they primarily work with, is incredibly time consuming. I mean, the amount of work that goes into making a stop motion feature is incredible. I think it's an underrated medium, honestly. Everyone knows, I mean, when you talk stop motion, instantly everyone goes to The Nightmare Before Christmas. And that was revolutionary at the time. No one had really done a full stop motion of that caliber. Mostly we had stuck to like those old Christmas specials and stuff before then. But then Tim Burton came along and showed us just what kind of stuff could be accomplished using stop motion, and it was incredible. It still is. I do love Tim Burton's work, but it was very interesting to have another company come forward and say, yeah, we'd like to do this too. And the first movie to come out from Laika was Coraline. This is my 3D copy. I'm really excited to have this, especially with its lenticular slipcover. I don't know if you can really see any effect there. This is very reminiscent of Nightmare Before Christmas. Very much like a Tim Burton film, honestly, even though Tim Burton had no involvement with this film, as far as I've been able to tell. When I originally saw Coraline, I actually didn't like it as much. Even though I was a fan of Tim Burton films, I wasn't quite as impressed by Coraline for some reason. That, or at that age, I probably thought it was a little weird and creepy. But that was just when I initially saw it back in the day. I watched it again yesterday, actually, and I really enjoyed it. I was able to look at it with a new pair of eyes and get such a better appreciation for it. It is a weird, magical film, and then it takes this turn that just becomes instantly creepy as hell. It becomes nightmare fuel, essentially, in a way. I mean, for a kid's story, this is scary. Now, I have heard that the book is honestly scarier, but then again, you use your own imagination for a book, so it's no wonder that it's scarier. I will have to eventually read that book. I love Neil Gaiman's work. Coraline, though, is such a unique piece, honestly. The story is fun and then, turns to a much darker place. The villain of the piece, she is remarkable to watch. I mean, the evolution of the villain throughout is really, really fun and just a marvel to watch. And definitely for Laika's first production, I was able to notice, there were some moments that it was maybe a little jerky at points. Not often. It was very few times that I really noticed it. They actually did very good for their first feature length. The animation really is great. The story is fun. Thinking over it, I definitely give Coraline a solid 4 out of 5 stars. And I'm very, very happy with that rating because I initially rated it a lot lower. before. But 4 out of 5 stars from me, and it is such a fun film. If somehow you haven't seen this one, definitely go and find it. It is well worth it. And unfortunately enough, I feel like Coraline is the only one that gets any serious attention from Laika's films, because there are 4 other movies they have made since Coraline, and I feel like each one has its own merits, and honestly, a couple of them I think are even better than Coraline. That's just my personal opinion, though. And it's a shame that that these other ones don't get nearly as much talk. I see them mentioned every once in a while, but not nearly as much as Coraline. Anyways, after Coraline, the next one that came out was ParaNorman. Now, I'm really happy with this one. My wife Bethany found this. This is the HMV exclusive, which we don't have any HMVs around here at all. So this is the Canadian copy. It's a glow-in-the-dark cover. I wish I had the appropriate amount of darkness in this room that I could display it for you, but I don't. But yeah, this is such a nice cover, so fun. I'm really happy with this one. ParaNorman, I feel like, was very much a step forward for Laika. You had a wonderfully original story. I mean, you had a kid who could talk to the dead, who was ostracized in his small community for it, and yet that ability became very handy once a witch's curse started taking effect in the town. And yeah, the story is just so much fun. The movie has a wonderful blend of horror elements and comedy throughout. It's a great homage to horror, honestly, because I see so many touches of classic horror tropes or actual references to other horror movies, and it is so much fun. It really is. And the animation definitely took a step forward from Coraline. There was a lot more detail to the backgrounds and to the characters themselves, and they had definitely taken on a new life. And I very much enjoyed seeing that uptick in the quality of the puppets and the set pieces and whatnot. It was really nice. And that was the other thing, is that now we went from just, in Coraline, it was around one house. It was one house. So fairly small in set in comparison. And then we went to having a whole town and a forest around it. And I think just upping that scale definitely was a plus in this way, because it just gave more variety throughout the whole movie. And the voice cast is phenomenal in this film. They are all really wonderful. A lot of names that at the time when this came out, I had no idea who any of them were. And now I look back, and you had like Cody Smith-McPhee, Anna Kendrick, Casey Affleck, Christopher Mintz-Plasse. You had a wonderful mix of cast, and the story was really fun too. Again, very original. I really enjoyed it, and a great blend of horror and comedy together. And honestly, I liked it better than Coraline myself. I thought that it just had a little bit more of a spark of creativity for me, and I really enjoyed it. And I would give that one easily 4.5 stars. So definitely one of the better films of the set for myself personally. After ParaNorman, the next feature was Box Trolls. I just have the standard Blu-ray for this one. Didn't feel like shelling out for the 3D initially. Might get it further down the line, I don't know. Box Trolls is different. I will admit this one felt like a step back for me story-wise versus the previous entries. I felt it could have used a little more exposition at the beginning, is my own personal thoughts. I kind of went into the movie, I've only seen it once or twice before, and that was when it initially came out. So it's been several years since I've watched it. And upon watching again, I kind of was confused at the beginning. I was like, I kind of see where they're going, but I feel like I could use a little more explanation. The characters definitely are very interesting, and there is some definite character development which I enjoyed. It's definitely a cute film. I enjoyed it. The trolls are really fun, and the two kids that are the main characters are really just cute to watch together. And the villain is very creepy, just very over the top at points too. He's voiced by Ben Kingsley, which he does a phenomenal job.
How curious, how peculiar. I do believe evil is afoot.
And it really is, it's a treat to watch, but I definitely felt like it was a fall from ParaNorman or even Coraline. And for me, I gave it a 3.5 out of 5. That's again just my personal opinion. It is still really enjoyable. It's worth a watch, but of the entries from Laika, probably not. It's not up there for me. From Box Trolls, we go forward, and we got Kubo and the Two Strings. This is the 3D Blu-ray with a lenticular slip that I own. Really happy to own this one as well. Don't know if it really has much of an effect though. Kubo is a piece of art, honestly. The animation took such a step, no, not even a step, a leap forward. It is colorful and beautiful and fluid. It is really just such a treat to watch that one, just to look at the artistry behind everything. One of Laika's employees came forward and she threw out the idea we should do like an epic samurai story, you know, like the classic films. And of course that idea caught on, and the Kubo was the result of that. And it very much, I can tell, I've not seen a ton of Asian cinema, but what I have seen, I definitely can see that Kubo is trying to emulate that style a bit, and it is wonderful. The story is well written, the characters too. We have this young boy who wants nothing more than to have a family, but also has to try and cut the bonds of another portion of his family. It is very much an really intriguing story, and the other supporting cast is amazing too, with the creatures that help him on his journey, the villains. It is wonderfully well rounded, and again, it is beautiful to watch. The scenery is amazing. The fight scenes are choreographed really well, honestly, and it is so much fun to watch. It is just a really great movie all around, and I would definitely give that one 4.5 stars as well. It is a wonderful treat to watch. If you haven't seen it for some reason and you are a fan of Asian cinema, then I definitely suggest you check it out, because this is definitely one to add to your collection if you like, you know, samurai stories or the like. It is really wonderful, a wonderful film. That brings us to the most recent film that Laika put out, and they released this last year in 2019, and that was Missing Link. Missing Link definitely has a solid story behind it. It is an intriguing idea, but I definitely feel like the execution maybe wasn't totally perfect. It has a wonderful cast to it. You got Hugh Jackman, Zoe Saldana, and Zach Galifianakis, and Galifianakis steals the show, honestly. I think his lines are some of the best lines of the entire movie, honestly.
What did you just do?
What do you mean I threw the rope over the wall?
I didn't mean all of it.
Well, you never said that. I'm very literal.
Oh, you don't say.
No, I do say. I just said that right then. Aren't you listening?
The animation at this point, Laika has taken stop motion and has brought it to, I think, its peak almost. The stop motion animation looks fluid and so smooth and beautiful, and it rivals 3D animation in my opinion at this point. Just looking at how well they can manipulate these puppets and the scenery and everything, and it honestly in some ways is better than 3D animation in my opinion, because they're taking actual shots of physical puppets and physical sets. That's actually real. It's not just computer generated imagery. I just think that makes the quality somewhat better, honestly. 3D animation looks wonderful. I mean, you look at some of the stuff that Disney and DreamWorks have put out in the last couple of years, and 3D animation has come such a long way since the age of like Toy Story. It is amazing what we've accomplished in the last couple of decades. But I gotta say, stop motion. If Laika keeps putting out movies that have the look and feel of what Missing Link had, with how just fluid and perfect everything moved, I feel like they've got the better looking films than even, say, some of Disney's stuff. It has really come a long way since the age of Nightmare Before Christmas even. It is phenomenal what they have been able to accomplish and how the technology has evolved. There I go on my tangent away from the movie. I forgot to give it a rating. Missing Link is really good. It is a fun film, but it definitely felt a lot more kiddie than any of the other entries, honestly, except maybe Box Trolls. But the other entries felt they had a bit more of a maturity to them and would probably be appreciated by a slightly maybe older audience. But Missing Link definitely felt more like one that could be enjoyed by children. I enjoyed it as well, but it definitely, had a lighter tone to it, which I like the darker tone, honestly, a lot in their films. So Missing Link for me was probably a 3.5 out of 5, honestly. Oh my gosh, in all my rambling, I almost forgot I was going to rank the films for you at the end here. So there are 5 films, so we'll go from 5 to 1. Number 5, I would probably say Box Trolls myself. It definitely is a fun film, but story-wise, I think it's the weakest of the bunch myself. And story is very important to me personally, so I put that one at number 5. Number 4, I would have to say, is Missing Link. Missing Link definitely improves story-wise, but it definitely is still a much lighter kiddie tone to me. And so, number 4. Number 3, I would say Coraline. I'm sure to a lot of people that is outrageous, but that's just me. It is a fun film, very much reminiscent of early Burton work, and I really do enjoy it. It is fun, but just not my favorite on this particular list. Number 2 would be ParaNorman. Really wonderful, really enjoy that film. Just a great blend of horror and comedy throughout, and absolutely happy to put that at number 2. And if you haven't guessed it by now, number 1 leaves Kubo and the Two Strings. Wonderfully crafted film, beautiful to watch, great story, great characters, and I think very deserving of my number 1 spot. So those are all the films that Laika has put out. Again, I can't get over just how amazing their animation has become. And it is, even in just the 10 years that they've been doing feature films, it has evolved and become a true art form. And it is so fun to watch these films, and I can't wait for Laika to put out another one. Hopefully that'll be in the near future, but judging on the cycle of how long it takes to actually make a stop motion picture, I'm guessing they'll probably won't be putting something out until, well, with everything going on, at least 2022. Which, it's unfortunate that it'll be a wait, but I definitely am looking forward to whatever they have coming out next. Well, I hope you enjoyed the video. Again, if you haven't seen any of these films, or have only seen maybe a couple of them, go find the rest. Laika's films are all wonderful in their own ways, and definitely each is worth a watch, just to see what they've been able to do with this particular medium. They are all really enjoyable, really fun. Watch them with your family, watch them alone. It is just such a good time watching these films. I watched all of these yesterday. I did a marathon just for this video, and it was just such a blast because there are just so many varying stories, the character designs, everything about them. Each film is so unique in its own way, and all are so worth watching. So again, if you haven't seen any of them, or have only seen a couple of them, go and find them. Go and get your hands on them. They are so good. I really enjoy them. Laika is probably one of my favorite animation studios just because they have put out quality movies every time. Each one may have its shortcomings, but in the end, they're all so fun. Again, thank you for watching. I really enjoy making these videos specifically about animation, and I hope you guys are enjoying them too. I can't wait to delve more into other studios and maybe some specific movies. And of course, Bethany and I are working on doing a complete overview of our Disney collection in the near future, so keep your eyes out for that one. Don't forget to like and subscribe, hit the bell for those notifications, and I can't wait to see you on the next one.